Mr. Johnson, I have one more question. The National Farmers Union has stated that market access does not equal market share. What is the single most important element needed to turn access into revenue?
Perhaps it's enforcement. Perhaps it's, all these issues that I've talked about, trying to figure out if there isn't a better system for holding other countries accountable. And as I've been sitting here listening to the testimony, knowing that we have this enormous trade deficit in the country, but also knowing that agriculture historically has had a substantial trade surplus, it probably helps to explain why the kinds of issues we face in agriculture are rather different than the kinds of issues that you've been hearing from the other three panelists here. Perhaps it's because other countries are looking and saying, well, you guys already have a surplus, we're going to try and push that back. I think it's much more complicated than that, because food is such a basic, fundamental product that everyone absolutely needs. It's not one of those discretionary kinds of things. And I think countries all look at food security kind of like we do. We want to make sure that we've got it. We want to do what we can to make sure that when everything else is bad, at least we can feed our people. And so I think you have just a whole bunch of different dynamics at play here. And as a consequence, I would say that we have to be very attentive to holding everyone accountable in this system.
Mr. Greenblatt.
Where we have foreign trade agreements, we have trade surpluses. So when we cut those deals, we ship more to them than they do to us. So these deals really work out in our benefit.
Okay. Well, Mr. Johnson, it looks like he has some concerns about enforcement being part of. So it's not only to have the trade agreements, it's just to have in place an effective trade strategy that involves trade agreement, enforcement, technical assistance to help those small firms. Because the reality is 97% of all exporters are small businesses, yet the revenues, the share is much, much, much lower than it should be. Mr. Bond, do you have a, yes, go ahead.
I was only going to respond in terms of your earlier question. I think that if you had full-blown access, which I'm taking to include enforcement, then I think the single most important element is going to be the value you're delivering, and that's where we could be very optimistic. When it comes to food, when it comes certainly to technology, we're, I think, the envy of the world in those regards. So getting that access, getting streamlining, getting compliance, getting those things done, which is the policy that we're talking about, then I think Americans can compete with just about anybody.
Let me ask you, Mr. Bond, the fastest growing large export market for U.S. tech exports between 2007-2008 was in developing countries, particularly in South and Central America. What makes U.S. tech exports so uniquely desirable in developing countries, and the same is true today compared to 2007-2008?
I don't have the latest data in front of me, but I don't doubt that is true. Just listened to Microsoft's chief strategy officer last night talking about this phenomenon a little bit, that because of the applications and technologies that have been developed here, applying that then to developing countries and low-cost markets in new ways is a big growth opportunity. Because American technology is generally regarded as the best the world has to offer, it's in demand. There are companies there setting up who want to build off those products, leverage off those products to give them a local flavor or taste and add some value. So it makes sense that we'd grow there. And then we have other more developed countries where they have very aggressive trade policies that are designed to perhaps slow their competition down a little bit.
Mr. Graves, any other? Mr. Thompson? No. Okay. So thank you again for being here today and providing such insightful information and for the discussion. I ask unanimous consent that members will have 5 days to submit a statement and supporting materials for the record. Without objections or order, this hearing is now adjourned.